Welcome out to the show tonight, guys. This is Studio 321. This is Eddie B. So it happened tonight. Okay, unless you live under a rock, you know what I'm talking about. The United States bombed the Iranian nuclear sites. They ended up bombing 3 sites. They used 6 bunker buster bombs. I think they set up the 30 Tomahawk missiles. They said it was a complete success. They destroyed the sites completely. Trump did a speech at 10 p.m., went over a little bit of the details, kind of a short and sweet speech. Didn't give too much information, and then that was that. So the question is, what happens now? Now, look, if you go back to my previous podcast, here's what I believe. First of all, I said this last week. This was the right thing to do. This was the right thing to do to prevent a major ground war. And look, all over the internet, everybody's talking about, oh my God, Trump's starting World War III, da 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 da. Actually, what he's doing is preventing World War III. Okay, and this is the thing. By doing this, he has taken away the reason we were going to go to war in the first place. It's eliminated now. There is no reason, right? So what's going to happen next? Well, we're going to sit and wait and probably do nothing. I also believe that Trump has probably communicated with Netanyahu and said, look, stop bombing Iran. Let's just sit back and see what happens. Okay. So now basically the ball is in Iran's court. I know that they took out a bunch of the nuclear scientists last week, a bunch of the military leadership. So they're probably at 50% power in upper leadership anyways. And the rest of them, I'm sure, are still hiding underground as we speak. So they're not going to be very coordinated. I don't think they're going to be very organized for the next couple of days because they're probably all in hiding. But when they do get it all back together, they're going to have to figure out what they want to do. And I think that's what we're going to wait on. They've got 2 options. Well, actually, they don't. I don't even know if they have 2 options. But this is what I'm going to say. If Iran strikes back in any kind of, I don't even know if they can do it in a massive way. But if they did, what that would trigger is a complete regime change for their leadership. Either Israel or the United States would go in, remove their leadership, whether that be through a ground war or however, and they would restructure the government. That's number 1, okay? If they try to just sit back and be calm and not really do any retaliation, it's going to make them look weak, okay? Now, everybody knows, honestly, that right now they are weak. They really don't want a war because they know that war is going to be removal of the leadership. And they're trying to save themselves right now. This is about self-preservation for the Iranian leadership. Number 1, a lot of their own citizens don't want them as leadership anymore. So that might turn into a revolution, right? So it's very delicate for them right now. They're at a very weakened state. It could go either direction. So what do they do? Well, we're going to sit back and we're going to wait. But here's the thing. This is the kicker. And I'm sure that they're talking about this already. Okay. For years, a lot of the Iranian population has been unsatisfied with the leadership. You know, the country has fallen behind. They're kind of poor compared to everybody else. They refuse to work with the world on a lot of stuff. They're seen as like troublemakers. And so the population doesn't want to deal with that anymore. Okay. So this is the thing. If you're an Iranian, right now is the time. The time is right now. Okay. And what I believe that the State Department, the CIA, whoever's dealing with this is probably over there communicating with them as we speak, because they do have connections with, every people in all these countries. And I think they're telling them the same thing. If you want a revolution, right now is the time. They're weak. Go get them. Replace them with new leadership. You have the power to do it right now. And look, the mullahs, which are the leader, that's the religious leadership group of Iran. They've been a thorn in everybody's side for years and years, including their own people. So I feel like right now, you know what I'm saying? Go in there and get them out. There's plenty of people. There's actually been a prince who I believe was exiled from Iran, who's living outside of the country, who could easily be injected back into the country as new leadership. Now look, it would take some work and there would be some issues here and there. But if the Iranian people are tired of what they've been dealing with, which they are, right now is the time. Take your government back, okay? It's time to start over. Trust me, the United States will help you. They will. They'll help you out. Probably money, weapons, whatever you need, you'll probably get it right now if you asked. So that's what I believe could possibly happen on the civilian side of things, okay? Now, what are we going to do as the United States? Again, we're going to sit back and wait. We're going to wait on a response from Iran. Now, I believe they're going to try to do something, at least to look tough. I don't think it's going to be anything real. Maybe launch some missiles, maybe do this. I don't even know what they're going to do. Because look, if they wanted to fight a war, they would have declared war on Israel already. But they can't even really do that. To fight a war with Israel, they would have to cross through Iraq, Syria, and Jordan to engage in a ground war with Israel if they were going to attack them, okay? That's not going to happen. Those countries aren't going to let them just pass through using their land. That's not going to work, okay? So that's number one. They don't have an air force now. They don't have any air defenses. So basically, what they have left is when they do have a large army, they have a large conventional ground war army. Basically, a bunch of soldiers sitting around with guns with nowhere to go because there's nowhere they can attack. They can't attack the United States. They don't have the capabilities to do any of that. So, yeah, they could do it with some small terrorist attack cells and stuff like that. But I'm talking about on any real conventional warfare type of situation. They don't have the capability to do it, okay? And they don't have the capability to attack Israel right now because they can't march over there and do it because of all the countries in between. So they're out of options. I feel like the mullahs right now are in complete survival mode. They're probably sitting around talking, asking themselves, what can we do to stay in place as leadership because we're about to be removed? How can we keep the power so we can rebuild in our country? And again, that's very shaky because the people are not going to want them. They haven't wanted them over there for a long time. There was a small percentage that did. They're the ones with the guns and the clubs, right? But now that's going to create an uproar. Now is the time. I think they have to worry about their own citizens as much as they do about anybody else right now. I really do, because I think revolution is the next step for that country. If they don't take back that country now, then they're never going to do it. Okay? Now is the time for the people to go take that government out of power. So, like I said, I know we're going to give them a lot of the resources to do that if they decide to do that. I'm sure we're already talking about that now. But look, I'm glad that we haven't gone into Iran in a conventional warfare type of thing. Because here's the deal. I know there's a lot of neocons in our own government who wanted that war. They want Iran real bad. They want to go in there and stomp on that whole country. But then we're just doing what we've done for years and years and years, and it always ends up bad. Okay? Trump got elected. He talked about not doing that anymore, staying out of wars, staying out of foreign wars. And this situation was the best possible scenario to stay out of a foreign war. Taking out the sites eliminates the reason to fight on both sides. It really does. Okay? It could create a stability in the Middle East that they haven't had for years and years and years. Because you take that out, everybody over there is going to be able to relax a little bit, Look, Iran, if you were going to equate it to like normal life, man, if you had a room full of people, Iran would be like the crazy guy in the room with the gun, right? Everybody's nervous that he's just going to do something weird and pull the gun out and shoot somebody, right? So once that threat is gone, everybody relaxes. All the countries can relax. They can get down to business over there. Now, are we completely out of the woods yet? No. This is what I think. I think if Iran doesn't do something within a week, I think it's over. I think that's basically, again, they're going to say some tough stuff, but that doesn't mean anything. What are they going to do? Okay. If they don't do anything, I think it's over. I think Trump has, in his genius way, stopped what could have turned into World War III. Because here's the deal. If it turned into a ground war, let's say Israel and Iran engage in a ground war, well, then all the extremists in the Middle East are going to come into the fight. They're going to be helping out Iran. Then we're going to be backing up Israel, right? Then all our allies are going to be backing up Israel. Then their allies are going to come over and back them up. Then you've got, other countries sending over soldiers, and it turns into just this whole global thing going down in the Middle East. Trump has completely prevented that, okay? And I love it. It was the smartest move, just like I said in my previous podcast, and I was dead right, okay? This was the way to stop it all. Now, as soon as this happened, I said to myself, how's the Democrats going to respond to this? And I thought maybe for once they could act like grown-ups and just shut their mouth and just sit back and wait a couple days to attack. But nope, within minutes, you've got AOC and some guy, I can't remember the senator's name up north, talking about they're going to be writing up articles of impeachment because the president doesn't have authority to do this, which he absolutely does have authority to do. Okay, now, president does not have, it's called the War Powers Act, I believe. The president does not have the power to start a war. But that's like if you declare war on a country, which he didn't do. He bombed the country, okay? Nobody has declared war, okay? So I believe, and the way it's written is, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm right on this. President can conduct war operations for up to 60 days, okay? And the reason that's in the Constitution is like this, and it's actually genius. If we were being attacked, okay, let's say overnight somebody attacked us, and we needed to go to war, or we needed to retaliate quickly for self-defense. If we had to wait on Congress for that, what you would end up with is Congress would have to get together. You would have to have meetings for weeks and weeks and weeks, and they'd disagree and battle it over. And during that whole time, we would be being attacked. So what they do is they give that grace period for the president to retaliate defensively or offensively, whatever. But in the long run, if we want to actually go to war, then he has to get Congress approval, okay, which is not what's going to happen here. This isn't going to continue on, I'm telling you. So I don't know what the Democrats' problem is, if they're just running their mouth. I heard Bernie Sanders say the same thing, and the truth is Bernie Sanders knows better. He knows the real rules. He was doing a rally when all this happened, and they told him, and then he started talking about, it's against the Constitution. It's not. Trump has every right to do it. He did it, and he's the only one with the balls to do something like this. And man, I'm really happy for it. You know what I mean? If you look at the presidents in the past, it was constant tiptoeing around all this stuff. You know what I mean? Constantly. Obama gave him all that money. Joe Biden gave him money. It was like, I don't know what these people were thinking. Trump did what had to be done, and I love it. He's a direct action kind of guy, man. He's a problem solver, and he just solved a major problem for the world, okay? And I'm telling you right now, in the future, this is going to create a lot more peace in the Middle East, okay? But shame on you, Democrats, because that type of behavior, you're supposed to stick with your own government and your own people, at least until the smoke clears. But no, you guys are immature babies, and you had to go jumping on them for no reason right away. And you really don't, either you don't know the way the rules are, or you're just lying to the people about it. But anyways, guys, it's Studio 321. Hit me up, man. Let's talk about it, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.